So he says that we were complaining. He was complaining yesterday how he was saying how it's not good that people do not study the basics of the divine service of Hashem, and they only want to be busy with very highly intellectual things, and they're jumping, they're skipping, and they're not focusing on what is supposed to be focused on. You know, the Rav Tversky writes over here. He says that in many shuls, the Ramchal had this problem in his time already. And in the shul, the rabbi used to give after Mincha Harvit, he used to give En Yaakov class, like we do in Bet Gavril. And it's what's En Yaakov? It's the stories from the Gemara and like non-halachic parts of the Gemara. It's not like so complicated. So who used to attend the class? And at the Ramchal's time, the people who didn't know how to learn by themselves. They were not so learned. They just listened to the rabbi teach. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to learn. So, but the people who are much smarter, they would never attend the class. They'd say, "Oh, it's so simple. Why would I go and study that? I'd rather learn something more complicated, right?" But the lessons of En Yaakov, they needed to hear. There's a lot of great lessons En Yaakov has to say, and they excuse themselves and they don't sit through that class and they say, "It's for babies. It's for beginners. It's not for me." And really, they do need it. So that's what the Ramchal. That's a style of example that the Ramchal is complaining about. He says also. He says that the Ramchal and the Baal Shem Tov were not so far apart, and the Baal Shem Tov, one of the things was great about him was that he loved very much to be with the simple people. He loved to be with the simple. He was with the farmer, with the tailor, with the very simple people. So the question is why? Why did he love so much the simple people? So there's a story that he brings over here, is that there was a guy who was an immigrant from Russia, and he never became Talmid Chacham. He was just, buying and selling, trying to make do, and he was very poor, and he was about to pass away. So he gave his son a little instruction before he passed away. He says, in a certain place, certain drawer, open it after he passed away. So the guy, the son goes, he buries the father, he goes and he opens, the father dies, he goes and opens the drawer, and he sees a bag full of silver bars. Silver bars, it was very expensive. So he says, "What is this silver?" He says to my son, "I am Kohen, and this is all the silver over all the years that people gave me for Pidyon Ben. All the silver, I collected it and I made it to silver bars." He says, "I set it aside." He says, "In my business, I don't know if I was always honest in my business. Maybe I did wrong, maybe I did right. But Pidyon Ben, the money that I got through Pidyon Ben is for sure chiste. For sure, I deserved 1,000%. So therefore, he says, with this money that I got for Pidyon Ben, with this money, I want you to bury me. I want you to take care of my levaya. I want you to take care of everything." So he says, the Baal Shem Tov, he knew these kind of people who they were simple, but they had such clean Yirat Hashem. They had such clean heart. They were such good-hearted people inside. They weren't, there's sometimes people who are very smart, but they're two-faced, and they think, they show you like they're doing good, but deep down they have bad stuff inside, or they're pretending to be someone righteous when really they're not 100%. So the Baal Shem said, "I'd rather sit with the simple people, that their heart is 100% clean, and they have the real intention to do the will of Hashem, even though they don't know so much, even though they don't know how to do so much. I'd rather sit with them and be with them than the people who are smart and complicated and who knows what's inside their heart." So therefore he says that how do you get such a person? How do you get such a smart person? And he says he's religious, but he's not really. Deep down he has a lot of bad things inside. It's because he skipped, he jumped, he's busy focusing complicated things, and he doesn't even have the basics down first. And the Baal Shem Tov says, "I'd rather be with the people who have the basics. I'd rather be with the people of Derech Eretz. I'd rather be with the people who have real Yirat Hashem, who have real fear of Hashem." So therefore, that's what the Mesilat Yesharim is coming to do. It's coming to remind us of the basics. And he says, everybody suffers. It's very hard to find today a very righteous person. So he says, so the learned people, they don't have really righteousness because they're busy studying advanced things. They don't know the basics. And then the people who are not so smart, they're busy trying to get the basics, and it's very hard for them to get the basics. So it comes out, nituda, not here, not there. You don't find it in anybody. It's very hard to find a righteous person today. Today, what do we see? The basic people. The basic people, what they used to do, the Hasidim, used to read a lot of Tehillim, roll in the snow, go to the mikveh, do all these very, special Hasidic things. And he says, people who do that, the smart people look at them and say, "Oh, they're wasting their time. Look, they don't know how to learn. and look, this is what they have to do in order to feel connected, and comes out that the Hasidim, who do people think the Hasidim are? The people who read all day Tehillim, who go to the mikveh, who roll in the snow. That's what we see, people who are pious. That's what we think are pious, and it's just actions, and it's not really anything internal. So therefore, it's a big yitzhara, says the Mesilat Yesharim, that a person thinks, oh, you have to dip 1,000 times in the mikveh, then you're a tzaddik. You have to go and read 50 Tehillims every day, then you become tzaddik. Or you have to go and do this segula, do that segula. You have to wear this tefillin, that tefillin, and you'll be a tzaddik. And then they forget that it's about, did you change yourself as a person? All these actions, did they lead to you thinking and acting differently? That's the big difference. And he says, there's a story with the Rebbe of Ruzhin. So the Rebbe of Ruzhin, he saw a guy who was fasting and fasting and fasting, so much fasting. He said, I'm not going to eat cooked food all week except for Shabbat. And then he put nails in his shoes, so he should be in pain. And then he used to roll in the snow. But he didn't change himself. He wasn't changing. He was just doing all these things on the outside. Yeah. So then the Rebbe Ruzhin said, he grabbed him, and he says, you see this horse? He said, this horse also, they don't feed him during the week. He also sleeps on top of nails. He also rolls in the snow. And what? He's still a horse. He still stayed a horse. You understand? So you could do all these things, but you still stay a horse. The main thing is to change who you are inside. Do these things speak to you? Do you do these things like a robot and just do them for everybody should say you're Hasid? Or do you do it because really you want to come close to Hashem through this? And this is a question that every person who wants to be Hasid, when Mesilat Yesharim is going to help us become, he has to ask himself. The Midrash says something interesting. The Midrash says Avraham Avinu, he saw that the angels were coming to him, right? The three angels, when it was the hottest day, and he was the third day of the Brit. So Midrash says that he saw them, he got excited because he saw that the Shekhinah was amongst them. He saw Shekhinah on them, but he didn't go to them right away. When did he go? The Midrash says only when he saw that they have respect one to the other, and he saw that they're dignified people, they have derech eretz, then he ran to them. So why is that? So Chaim Shmulevitz says, the Midrash teaching us unbelievable. He says you could see a guy and he looks very holy. Avraham Avinu says, that doesn't make me feel special. I'm not so excited. A lot of people look very holy. He says, when I saw how he behaves with derech eretz, now I know he's really holy. Now I know that's a person I want to run to. That's one person I invite to my house. So therefore he says, we have to be careful to study Musar, so we shouldn't just look like the divine presence is on us. We should actually act on it and live with it, and we'll see that the divine presence is inside of us, inside our neshama. So we should be zocheh to be able to get to that level. And he says later, I'll end with this, he says that the person cannot think that, oh, it's so easy, just be a good person. Just have derech eretz. Boom, just have derech eretz. That's it, I have derech eretz. No, there's no way you can, if you don't study, where are you going to get this wisdom from? Well, you think that the laws of Shabbat, you just know automatically? Oh, that's it, I'm going to keep Shabbat 100%. You don't know the laws, How does it mean, what does it mean to have fear of Hashem? Do you know what it means to have fear of Hashem? How do you know? You have to see what the Torah says to have fear of Hashem. We have to study it. We cannot just guess. We cannot just assume we know. We have to study. We have to dedicate time to it. That's why learning Musar is so important. Yisrael Salan says that a lot of times when a person has personal interests, he can make mistakes and think he's doing the fear of Hashem. For example, a guy's running, rushing. He's pushing people on the side. Get out of my way, I gotta go. He says, where are you going? He says, I'm going to the Musar lecture. He's pushing people, go to the Musar lecture, to learn what it means to be a good person. You understand? So therefore, a person could be mistaken. If he doesn't study what's the right thing to do, you come out like a person like this. He's running to do the will of Hashem, but he's breaking people on the way. And the Zohar says, this is the sin of the spies. What is the sin of the spies? The spies, they wanted to not go to the land of Israel. Why? Because they knew that when they enter the land of Israel, they're going to have to start working the field, they're going to start plowing, planting, harvesting, they're going to have to sew clothes, make shoes, build homes, dig wells. They said, no time to study Torah. What is this? In the desert, we have man, all day free to study Torah. If we go to Israel, it's going to be hard life. Why should we go there? I want to study Torah. Ended up being that they thought it was better to stay outside of Israel. And was that the right thing to do? No. Sometimes we think we know what Hashem wants, and Hashem says, you didn't even read. You didn't even know. I told you what I want, and you're doing something else. How could you think you know what Hashem wants? You go read and see what Hashem wants. People say, no, I'm religious. Maybe you're religious in your own way, the way you want. But is that really the religious that Hashem wants? And therefore, that's what Ramchal says. people think they're religious and do things the way they want, and they didn't open the Musar book and learn what Hashem wants. Baruch Adonai Olam.